FSN Radio. It's all about what's next. Go to financialsurvivalnetwork.com and sign up for your free weekly newsletter. You'll also get 3 free reports. The Financial Survival Network. It's all about what's next.
Welcome. You are listening to the Financial Survival Network. I'm Kerry Lutz. Today is 12/12/17. Well, we're getting close to that special time of year. I'm talking about Christmas. Haven't done a triple Lutz in a while. Figured it was time to do so now. Hey, housekeeping matters first. Remember, I love getting your emails. I'm almost completely caught up. I think I'm about 25 emails behind. Be part of the show. And I'm also going to give a hotline number out starting again soon where you can leave messages and I'll play them on the show because the show is all about you. So don't forget the Twitter feed is @KerryLutz and the Facebook page is Financial Survival Network. Today, like I said, we're starting Hanukkah, Christmas, not too far behind. These are exciting times. I've really been having a blast lately watching Bitcoin go exponential. Is Bitcoin a bubble? Yes. Will Bitcoin eventually collapse? Yes. Will it go back again? Yes. This is a long-term trend. And I think my guest, Lior Gantz, if you hadn't heard his interview the other day, people have been upset over fiat currency, government-issued fiat currency for 100 years. And cryptocurrencies are a way of paying back the man, if you will, of really rebelling against the system. When it gets to the point where it becomes a real threat to the government's ability to carry on, where it causes massive devaluations to fiat currencies, government-backed kind I'm talking about, then you're going to see the government respond, or when it becomes obvious that that's the trend. So let's just look at that and think about it. So this show, we've got a new sponsor by the name of Fragrance X. So check them out at fragrancex.com. Best place to go for authentic brand name perfumes at a fraction of their original cost. So let's get back to the show here. We're talking about the mainstream media and its implosion. And basically, this is a topic that I've been covering for quite some time. I think that the NFL, the whole nonsense that's going on there, is really emblematic of what's happening with the media meltdown. And if you've listened to this show, you know that my feelings on it are that the NFL isn't really a primary target of Trump's wrath. Yes, he does believe that this is anathema to the country. It's horrible that these people who've benefited so much from the American system are now putting the system down. But that's not what this is about. So much to everyone's surprise, except mine, of course, the NFL ratings are continuing to implode. They're down more than 20%. And this is bad news for Trump's sworn enemy, the MSN. Recent CBS earnings estimates were cut due in large part to the NFL ratings slump. ESPN is laying off another 150 employees. The 3 Thanksgiving Day games, which are among the most popular every year, were down an admitted 19% in terms of viewership. But the real story is that it's going to get a lot worse before it gets better, if ever. And the media and the NFL owners and brass can't figure out why. Could it be the concussion scandal? More and varied programming choices are perhaps the best explanation. A sudden, spontaneous desire by Joe Sixpack to spend more quality time with his family. Wise generals know that to succeed in war, always carefully choose your battles and your battlefield. Trump's enemies have yet to comprehend this powerful piece of military wisdom. They fall into every trap he artfully baits for them. How can such well-educated, intelligent people be so blinded by their rage and disgust for our commander-in-chief that they keep getting skunked? Trump's battlefield is Twitter and Facebook. He is the Ulysses S. Grant of social media scorched earth politics. The networks presently pay the NFL nearly $5 billion per year just for the right to broadcast football games. Now, obviously, they're not paying this $5 billion out of the goodness of their hearts. It is based upon their ability to make huge profits selling ads during games. Assume that their collective NFL profits are $5 billion. A 20% decline in viewership will automatically translate into a $1 billion decline in ad revenues. Their collective losses to date have been staggering. Understand, in the media business, when you're selling spots on Major League Football, you're guaranteeing your advertiser a certain sized audience. When you fail to meet that audience target, what happens is you either have to refund them money, a rebate, or you have to run free ads. Either way, it's a loser for the networks. And there's every reason to believe that this is just the beginning. A recently leaked NFL study revealed that should the national anthem protest continue, the damage to the league's prestige and its MSM partners' profits would reach a point of no return. I fully believe that they have already reached the tipping point, that the harm, the damage to the NFL's standing, its prestige, has been irreparable. But you, the market, will determine that. Listen, never underestimate Trump's Twitter use to defeat an adversary. It's all very deliberate and extremely effective. Whether he's taking on the GOP senators like Corker and Flake, the NFL, North Korea, or anyone else, these battles are extremely carefully choreographed and brilliantly executed. Twitter is currently the most effective venue in what is a multi-front war that is taking place on numerous battlefields. But most of these battlefields are actually in the ether. They're in cyberspace. They're on the internet. They're on televisions. They're on radios. Trump has gotten into his adversary's decision loop, and they're buckling under the pressure. His ability to marginalize and ridicule his enemies, and never underestimate the power of ridicule. It is one of the most powerful rhetorical weapons known to man. So his ability to do this and get to his enemies through social media is exactly what got him into the White House. And it will eventually enable him to get a large part of his agenda passed. Witness the impending tax cuts. Commentators on all sides of the political spectrum believe that Trump's Twitter rants get him into trouble and damage his standing. This is completely backwards and false. Yes, on occasion, Trump will jump the shark, but over the long haul, he is winning the war, and he will soundly defeat his enemies and anyone else standing in his path to total and complete victory. So, Fragrance X, want to talk to you about that. If you're looking for a great gift for this Christmas, fragrancex.com is the place to go. It's really an amazing website. You can save on Dolce & Gabbana, Burberry, Calvin Klein, Hugo Boss, and hundreds of more different fragrances. And look, they're all authentic. They're all real. There's no counterfeit here. You get free shipping. You'll save up to 80% off brand name perfumes. And the best part of all, if you use the code LUTZ20, that's LUTZ 20, the number 20, you will save an additional 20% off on your purchase. The perfect gift for the holidays for him and for her. They've got millions of happy customers. FragrantX.com is the best place to go to get the best deals on all of your favorite fragrances. So, anyways, as the president's tax cut measure, I should say the congressional tax cut measure, continues to be unveiled, it's got a lot of weaknesses, a lot of things that really are just not favorable to Americans, to the middle class, to the upper middle class. The upper middle class get totally screwed on this thing. I mean, that is the reality. You lose all your tax deductions when you make a certain amount of income, and you're going to lose the ability to deduct state and local taxes, both income and real estate. And I can tell you personally, for myself, that this hit is going to be devastating to the housing markets in blue states. Generally, people in blue states are higher paid, but pay far higher taxes than people in red states. For instance, in Florida, where I am, there is 0% state income tax. The property taxes are a fraction of what they are in New York State. And so many other things that contribute to the cost of living are less, leading to the cost of living in Florida being approximately 40 to 50% less than in the People's Republic of New York. I'm sure the savings even higher in California, and you can add Connecticut, you can add New Jersey, or as Governor Thomas Kean used to say, New Jersey. You can add Massachusetts, Maryland, Delaware, all high tax states. Delaware, not so much, but it's become a higher tax state. It used to be a low tax state. Illinois, all of these states that rip off their citizens are about to get a huge wake-up call. It's going to decimate the real estate market. And let me give you, for instance, a guy who's a salaried employee has net income of $500,000 per year. Of that, he pays 10% in state taxes for the privilege of living in New York State or New Jersey. Then he lives in $1 million home, and pretty much he pays another $25,000 in taxes. That is $75,000 in state and local taxes. If he's in the 50th percentile, effective tax rate of 50%, that means that he gets a taxpayer-funded subsidy by virtue of being able to deduct $75,000 from his income. He gets a taxpayer-supported subsidy of $37,500. That's his net tax savings as a result of paying these outrageous taxes to the communist states of New York, etc. Now he's only going to be able to deduct $10,000, which will be a $5,000 savings. So he's going to pay $32,500 more in federal income tax. That's a lot of money. That is approximately 6% of his after-tax income going to Washington for absolutely nothing, for no benefits received. Let's face it, it's a criminal enterprise, the swamp in D.C. But the point here is that there are plenty of people making $500,000 in these high-tax states that are literally living paycheck to paycheck. Can you imagine that? They've got 2 kids, maybe the kids are in private school, and maybe they've got 3 kids, and the husband, who is the breadwinner in most of these families, actually commutes to Manhattan, spends another $15,000, $20,000 a year in commutation expenses. Think it's outrageous? Don't think so. It could easily be that, between gas, parking, and all that. If he takes mass transit, maybe he only pays $8,000 a year in commutation expenses. Going into Manhattan, obviously. Cars, keeping up with the Joneses' expenses, clothing, all of this. This person is barely making it. Hard to believe that a person who makes $500,000 a year in a red state could be worse off than a person that makes $250,000 in a blue state. But this is, in fact, the case, because that person making $250,000, his cost of living or her cost of living is less than half, almost less than half. In Texas, certain places, it could be far less than half. Same in Florida. But if you're in Palm Beach County, your cost of living is roughly half of what it would be in New York State and the Northeast, and even less than that in California. So this is going to have devastating effects on the real estate market. The Northeast real estate market, well, yeah, Manhattan, the urban areas have been doing well, but the suburban areas, the upper income, high income suburbs of New York City and these other cities of Boston, places like that, some of them have taken real hits. New York City's Long Island suburbs, the high-end homes have really taken a slide. And it's a demographic issue because Most of these homes have been owned by baby boomers, and they're relying upon Gen Xers and millennials to take them out and give them a profit. But the problem is Gen Xers did better than millennials, but economically speaking. But the problem is that Gen Xers there's just not as many of them. They're like 2/3 as many Gen Xers as baby boomers. Therefore, the demand for these homes, a lot of them are McMansions, just isn't there. Yes, there are exceptions to this, but when you look around New York City suburb of Long Island, you see it. Yeah, you get to the beach, you go to the water, those homes more likely to keep their value. But this is a real issue, and it's going to have ramifications, and it's going to be exacerbated by the tax bill. So this is just one of the trends that you can look at and see that this tax bill is bad news. On the other hand, if I work for a company and am blessed to make $500,000 a year, I might just be able to go and renegotiate the deal with my boss and say, look, I can't afford this new tax bill. I'm going to have to move, and it's not going to work for me. However, how about if you pay me $400,000 a year, I will become a consultant. I'll have 4 or 5 other clients besides you. So maybe I'll make $600,000 a year per annum, all totaled, all in. So $600,000 a year, but I'm going to put it through my LLC, and I'm only going to pay a federal tax rate of 25% instead of 39.2%. or 39.4%. Don't remember the exact number, but it's over 39%. Therefore, I wind up saving 14% on my income tax. 14% times 600,000 is 84,000. That's going to be my after-tax savings, not to mention the fact that when I'm a consultant, I've got to drive to clients, so my car becomes a business expense. I might need an office, or I'm going to use a home office. I get an additional write-off for that, and on and on and on. I mean, this is the way that it works here. Everyone in their power. Look, if I'm an attorney working for a law firm, a lot of attorneys in New York, Boston, Illinois, California make $500,000 or more a year. A lot of them. If I'm not a partner in the firm, then all of my revenue, all of my income is is reported, and I'm paying tax on every cent of income, minus whatever deductions I can get. However, if I can persuade my law firm to make me a limited partner, and the partnership is a pass-through entity, it might be an LLC, a PLLC, then I am going to see dramatic tax savings. And it's at the expense of the government, so who really cares? My effective tax rate will go from 39.4% down to 25%. And not to mention all of those expenses I get to write off, expense reimbursements, all of these things. This is going to be a huge trend. Everybody's going to be a partner in every law firm in the country, because you'd be insane to stay as an associate. You're just going to get screwed, or you'll start your own law firm and your old firm will be a client of yours. A lot of unintended consequences are going to occur here, and you're going to see that the tax cut for big corporate America makes absolutely no difference. You've heard me use this example numerous times. Look, when GE, when I first found out about this, I was shocked. But in my lifetime, GE has paid virtually no federal income taxes, and probably very little state income tax either. And yet they've made hundreds of billions of dollars during my lifetime. How did that happen? Apple, all of the big companies pay an effective federal income tax rate of 18%. All right, 18%. When you start getting into the medium-sized publicly traded companies and smaller ones, their effective tax rate goes way up. For them, it's going to be a windfall, because they're not going to use it to buy back stock they're not going to use it totally for bonuses. Smaller companies and mid-sized companies are actually the ones that are growing. The big companies, not so much. If they grow 5 to 10% a year, a big company, that's huge. They're a really well-made company, well-run company. Yes, your Apples, your Googles, your fake books, all of them, Amazon, forget. But those companies, their profits are still growing pretty substantially, mostly over 10%. But eventually they'll be mature companies. But their effective tax burdens are very, very low. Big and small, big companies, it doesn't matter. The small and medium, it is a gift that will keep on giving, and it will drive the economy. There is no question about this. So anyways, you saw about the New York City terrorist attack right by the Port Authority bus terminal. For 30 some odd years of my life, my office was right around the Port Authority bus terminal. And I've taken all of those subways, walked through all of those corridors. My children still live in Manhattan, so this one cut very closely. It was just extremely fortunate that the guy was incompetent or inept and that more people weren't injured. Just a terrible thing, and no way to defend against it other than by bugging everybody in the world, which is what they're doing. And even then, they can't seem to figure it out. This guy had traveled extensively to enemy countries in the Middle East after he moved here, and yet they couldn't figure this out. I guarantee you, I'm almost certain when the story comes out, the FBI will have been aware of this guy and done nothing. That seems to be an alarming pattern. Hey, did you see? The New York Times says that Trump drinks 12 Diet Cokes a day and he watches 4 to 8 hours worth of television. I mean, come on. Now, the Diet Coke I won't take issue with because I just finished reading the book by Corey Lewandowski and David Boise called Let Trump Be Trump. And it really documents his ascent to the presidency. But he drinks a lot of Diet Coke. He eats crappy food. He loves Big Macs from McDonald's. They said there were like 4 food groups on the plane. McDonald's, KFC, Diet Coke, and I think there was one other one that I can't remember right now. Quite entertaining. So the New York Times wrote this article that Trump drinks 12 cans of Diet Coke a day. I wouldn't doubt it. And he watches 4 to 8 hours of television. Look, the guy is not a TV-aholic. He actually has been working for a living. When you work 18 hours a day to 20 hours a day, if the guy catches a couple of hours of TV, and in that case, it's important because by watching television, it basically gives him an insight into what's going on in the country, how the mainstream media is distorting what he's doing, all of these things. It's just a joke. And look, the guy eats the way he eats. If it doesn't seem to have affected him, he's got amazing stamina and energy. I mean, this man, when you've been watching his performance, and it was stated in the book, he had more energy than these kids less than half his age. So it's going to be interesting to see. I'm going to talk later on about sexual harassment, what it means to the workplace, what it means to relationships. Look, this is out of hand. This he said, she said stuff has just gone way too far. And, the Democrats are just using it as a means to try to unseat their adversaries. There's no heartfelt sincerity on their part. And just wait, because there's supposedly 20 to 40 more people in Congress of both parties, but I'm sure primarily Democratic, who are going to be unseated as a result of this. So this is the kind of thing that you're going to see. And Kirsten Gillibrand, she knew about Al Sharpton for years. She knew about all of these guys for years. Anthony Weiner, where was she with Anthony Weiner texting a 15-year-old girl? The old Shakespeare saying comes back to me, thou doth protesteth too much. And that is you, Kirsten Gillibrand. Hypocrite, phony. You used to say you were pro-gun, pro-Second Amendment. You voted against every gun measure ever brought, every measure that ever sought to reinforce the Second Amendment. You've been totally against. You're a phony. You're a fraud. Hey, that's it for today. Don't forget, email us, be part of the show. Your voice is important. The email address is kl@kerrylutz.com. Twitter feed heating up @KerryLutz. And the Facebook page is Financial Survival Network. I don't know if I reminded you or not, but wouldn't you love to get the show delivered to your computer automatically whenever a new episode is posted? All you got to do is, if you've got the iTunes app on your computer, then just go to the iTunes store, search Kerry Lutz or Financial Survival Network, click the subscribe button, automatically comes to your computer. Every time a new episode is uploaded, is posted to the site, you will get a copy of it. If you don't have iTunes, go to itunes.com, follow the instructions, and download it. If you have a Mac, you've got iTunes. If you got a PC, you might need to download it if you don't have it already. That's it for today. This has been another Triple Lutz Report. Kerry Lutz signing off.
FSN Radio. It's all about what's next. Go to financialsurvivalnetwork.com and sign up for your free weekly newsletter. You'll also get 3 free reports. The Financial Survival Network. It's all about what's next.